Welcome to the Black Box App Podcast. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the East Coast Executives, the diversity recruitment firm, and founder of the Black Box .tech app. Listen, I'm extremely excited today to be here with Dr. Jonathan Quash from the City University of New York. We call it CUNY here, but he is an executive director and actually kind of leading the Black Male Initiative program over there as well. So I'm excited to have Dr. Quash on the Black Box App podcast. Falls exactly into the demographic that we support. And I'm just excited about you and the work you do, my friend, working to the Black Box App podcast.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate the invitation. So happy to be here. Thank you for all the work you do. And I'm glad we're able to get together.
You know, I think it's really interesting. I was stumbling through the introduction because I just wanted to get to it, man. I'm really excited. If you can, tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do over there at CUNY, and kind of walk us into what's happening over there with the Black Male Initiative.
Absolutely. Well, for me personally, I'm as you mentioned, the University Executive Director for the CUNY Black Male Initiative Program, and we have 30 programs throughout the university, or that means throughout New York City, and a little bit over 6,000 students in our program at the various campuses at CUNY. And my background happens to be I have a PhD in mentor design, peer mentor design programming, and so the BMI program is among other things, the mentoring program. It's an academic success program. It is one that is designed to help the enrollment and retention rates of students of underrepresented populations, but we specifically focus on Black and Latino males. And so my background really has to do with student engagement programming, like the BMI programming, like career readiness programming, like wellness or basic needs programming. Anything that sort of helps this students in terms of outside of the classroom stuff. We really look to making sure that they have all the things that they need to succeed. And I also happen to also be a music faculty member. I used to teach for 15 years at York College in Queens. And right now still do some curriculum stuff, but pretty much my background is a student-centered, student-focused type of career. And so at BMI right now, we're doing some really important, powerful things that are new to us. So one of the things that we're doing that is new, probably the most exciting right now, is this career readiness implementation. And that is simply making sure that the guys that we have in our program are not only have identified a career and a path towards something that they are happy about, but also that they have the tools necessary to be competitive for that particular position. So this is the first time we've gotten involved with that, and it is very exciting. We've been working with different employers. We're having job fairs now every semester, as well as internship programming. And that's the big key that we're pushing right now, to make sure all of our guys walk away with the opportunity to take advantage of at least 2 internships before they graduate.
I think that's such an important part of the process to gainful employment, right? For people to have that experience. So I can commend you for the work you're doing in that area. But just in general, you know, so as LinkedIn would have it, I was looking through your background, and you've been doing this work for quite some time. But you come from a different place, right? Like I was just looking at your background, and I saw the Bloomingdale stuff, and I saw
Yeah.
the musical and the theater piece.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is a guy that really kind of goes after it and explores and creates. So is that the thing for you? You're a very creative type, and that kind of works for you in this setting as well.
It absolutely does. It's interesting you bring that up. Yep, I have a background in music, as I mentioned, musical theater specifically. I'm also a playwright. I wrote a play and working on another one that was staged off Broadway. And I'm a recording artist. I record music. I record primarily jazz. And I have a background in sales for many years growing up in Queens. I worked in the department stores, different areas of Queens, and then ultimately moved on to becoming a manager. But all the while, all throughout my entire career, even to today, I deal with music just about half of my professional life. I deal with creativity and art and teaching music history, teaching performance, as well as performing a lot myself. And so I find that that creative outlet is really for me a really great tool for helping to understand how to think about things in a leadership position. But by that I mean I'm sort of naturally an introvert and somewhat of a sitting in the back of the classroom kind of guy. But when I get on stage, I'm very much the front of the classroom kind of guy, and I take charge of my show. So what I've learned to do is use that voice in leadership positions. So I've been able to sort of command audiences or attention around certain issues and principles and programs like BMI, based upon my sort of selling background or sales, and also my leadership experience that takes place on stage. Like I'm if I were sitting in the back of a jazz club, I would say to you, there's some really great singers here. I'm just one of many, but if I'm on stage, I'm the best GD
Yes.
singer in that room.
I love
Trust
it.
me.
So I bet you so now, I mean, just kind of where you're at in your career and kind of leading and being the face of initiatives, maybe not and I could be wrong in this, but I know you probably have people that might be more hands-on that report directly to you.
Yeah,
But is that a piece for you? Because a lot of times success in someone's career really is about their ability to get in front of somebody and share how they add value. And that's not a good place for introverts. Like
right.
sometimes people have to put on a whole different persona to
Absolutely.
succeed in that setting. So are you
Yeah.
able to share some of that background with people that have came through BMI or any other programs that you've been associated with?
Absolutely. That is much more of my sales background because as an introvert, I worked on commission. I worked in Bloomingdale's, and I was always one of the highest paid because of the fact that what you're saying in terms of sort of like putting on another personality or taking on a role. I used to think of it as acting, and being able to firstly identify the person's needs. Secondly, finding a solution to my goal, which is obviously to sell, but also that customer's goal, meaning what it is that they really want. So I kind of transfer those skills in terms of sales into this particular program. And by that, what I mean is there may be campuses that are having that issue as it relates to visibility or as it relates to institutional commitment or some other issue that the students are having or the director is having. So I have a tendency usually going in to kind of sell the program a little bit more so as to get the institution to buy in a little bit more and also to get third parties like some gift that someone wants to give a program, to try to sell the program a little bit more. So it's about learning the stories of the program, learning about the stories of those students that we've helped. So that becomes then what that consumer needs in terms of my sales experience. So it has a lot to do with relating the information that you can process and how to supply it to those people that need to purchase this car today. if you get what I'm saying. So it's
I'm,
it's a
I'm,
matter
I'm,
of
I'm the organizer of TEDx Harlem, and you just gave a TED talk on transferable skills. You just gave a TED talk on transferable skills. I love it, but that's the important part, right? Your ability to take things that you learned along your journey
yeah,
and to apply it to the opportunities that you're looking forward to receiving in the
exactly,
future.
exactly right. Yep, yep,
So,
yep.
so tell me a little bit about this. Like, and I know it's been a while, but like your pivot into
Yeah.
administration at a high level with universities. Tell me how that came about.
It was very interesting. In this particular role, I've only been in this role now a year and a half. Previous to this role, I was a campus director for 16 years, and what happened was I felt as if, in terms of my own career path, I felt I had hit the ceiling. I wanted to commit to my creative side and the artistic side, so I spoke to some faculty coordinators and chairpersons and let them know I wanted to teach full time. That's it. I'm hanging up my administrative hat And they was like, oh, great. And so I put in my resignation and waited for the opportunity that was promised me, and that never came. So I waited 3 months, and they were like, "Well, we're sorry. We thought we'd have a position, but we don't." So at the same time, ironically, the person who had this position resigned, and to pursue another opportunity. And so I threw my hat in the ring and went through the process of the search, and here I am. It just turns out that way. But administratively, from working at the campus level, that transition from sales to administration was really the key point in my life where I was doing well in sales. I'll be honest with you, I made a lot of money, and and then I became a manager. And one of the things that my staff at the store was telling me was this: you don't. They were like, what do you? Why are you here? You don't belong here. You do not belong here. Yeah, you could sell it, us up and down, but clearly you're not happy. And I was fighting it for a long time. So what are you talking about? I love you guys. I love the store. I love selling. Blah blah blah. But it was really those moments where when no one was looking, I'd be asking myself, why? What am I doing here? So ultimately, I swallowed my pride, made the decision to go back to school, finish up my degrees. I have three now, but finished up at that time my master's degree, and then jumped into a position of leadership that was given to me because of my background in sales. So, excuse me. So I was able to kind of like use that to my advantage, and someone took a chance on me, and here I am, 18 years later.
Man, listen, well, someone probably needed promoted as well. Whoever took a chance on you because they made the right decisions. I don't know a ton about your program. I'm kind of learning through our conversations,
Yep.
but it just seems like it's really aligned well with you, your personality, your skill sets, and what you're doing and supporting. What are you seeing? And I'm from the outside looking in because
Yep.
as an executive search recruiter, we work with people that kind of are more advanced in their careers.
Right.
We're trying to go back with the black box stuff and do more with students. So that's another conversation for us. But what are you seeing as far as it pertains to Black men and coming into college? I'm hearing about like declining enrollments. I'm hearing about poor retention, but I heard that when I was in school as well. And I'm like, I'm still seeing some brothers out here that are literally kind of still trudging through and making their ways into, the opportunities that are out here. So what are you seeing?
Well, there are a couple of you're absolutely right. There are challenges nationally as it relates to the enrollment and graduation of Black men, and however, it has the reasons why those challenges exist have changed. Today, those reasons are primarily because of the fact that there is a certain generation of young people have a belief that it is easier and quicker for me to go out and start making money now than to have debt, by going to school and then graduating 4, 5, 6 years with 100,000 something on in debt, and then still no, no high paying job. So this and the fact that there's a lot of young people, and you know better than I, but there's a lot of young people making money online now as far as being like a brand ambassador or endorsing some product or just having a certain number of likes and influencing people in terms of whatever industry they happen to be working. And I know a lot of young people, even in high school, who are doing that now, and it becomes a distraction. How do I say, listen, come enroll in college, 4, 5, 6 years, you'll have a degree. Sure, you'll have some debt. Sure, you won't have a job yet, but still, come, let's work this out. That becomes a very hard sell. And so one of the things that we have done, and we did this year as an experience, as I shouldn't say experiment, as a pilot. So we're going to duplicate it next year. But we went into the high schools and identified those students who are part of programming, specifically part of either the My Brother's Keeper program or the Eagle Academy. And we said, where are you going to go to college? And so they identified which CUNY school they wanted to go to. And we were able to put them in a 6-week sort of summer engagement program, so as not to lose them between when they graduated high school in June and when classes start in August. So we put them in a 6-week engagement program, provided some academic support, but more importantly, help them understand what their sense of belonging is at the institution that they're going to, so they can feel like they're going home, but they don't feel like they're part of something where they don't fit in, but they actually feel now like they're part of something that's going to help them elevate themselves and their household. So that's been the sort of shift, the paradigm shift as to why people, young men in particular, are not going to college. You could survey them now, and you can ask, and I do this all the time. It's just that they don't see the benefit of waiting when they can make money today. I mean, 18 years old, I can endorse watches, I can endorse, teeth whiteners, I can endorse, technology stuff, whatever, earphones, phones, whatever it is, or I can get a certain number of followers. I remember one young man got a certain number of followers on YouTube. He just chronicled his life about wanting to go out with this guy, like half a world away, and because of the number of likes and things that he got, the YouTube gave him a super fat check, to continue his work and his and chronicling this relationship. And that's he's not going to college. He's not even thinking about going to college. So it's a challenge. It's a higher education has to find a way to sort of reveal truth and make sure they understand the benefits of this, because those things will come and go. Online work will come and go, and when the IRS comes for you, as well as when bills are due. One of the other things, and I'll say this quickly, one of the other things that's happening with that particular type of person, that I happen to know from experience. Yes, they're making money. I know some that make 6 figures doing what they do online, but the fact is they can't go to a realty company or landlord and say, "Here's my pay stubs.
Right.
I have money in the bank, but I don't get money every week." You're not getting that apartment. You can have all the money in the world, but a lot of people that I know who have this issue are not getting the apartments that they want. They're having to rely upon partnering with someone, or having a co-signer, or someone that can put up their credit profile for them. So it creates a bunch of challenges, not just for education, but in terms of a community itself.
I think foundationally, people need to understand that there can be a multi-pronged approach, right? You can do both, or you can do multiple things that allow you really to just solidify your foundation and kind of work through that, as there will be ups and downs and ebbs and flows and trends and things of that nature. So I think yeah, you're sharing valuable information. So speaking of sharing information, part of the Black Box App podcast, what we do consistently is we ask individuals 3 questions. So I'm going to ask you the first one. What do people like yourself and I need to be doing to support entry-level talent, right? So people that are just coming out of college, that are looking at opportunities, what do we need to do? And what do they need to do to kind of get their career in the right track?
One of the most important things, particularly that I discovered through my research, my doctoral research, is that it is imperative, especially for students of underrepresented populations, to find a mentor. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a peer mentor, but more effective are like faculty mentors or career coaches. Someone that's going to be able to kind of like, be on their shoulder and push them when they really need it. Because the higher education is a whole different world than high school. And a lot of students fall through that trap and crack in the sense that in high school, they kind of did everything for them. Here, just sign here, just go here, or here's your homework. Here, do this. Here, college, you're on your own. And what's going to remind you anything? You're going to get one email. You don't do it, you're out.
Right.
So so a lot of students miss that opportunity to connect with someone in terms of a leader, in terms of a mentor, or in terms of a coach. So I think that, to me, is first and most important thing to do.
I love it. I love it. So what are you seeing? So I know you've been doing this work for a while. So you probably have students that past students that are 10 years in their career now, right? So what are you seeing? What are they facing as they become they drift out of, they work out of entry level into mid-level career opportunities. What are they sharing? What are you seeing that are challenges and or success factors for them?
Well, and that's a great question. One of the things I'm seeing on the positive side is that a lot of them that have come through our program are looking to give back, particularly the ones in professional careers like law and medicine. They are really looking to give back and want to provide opportunities for students in the program, regardless of the campus, students in the program that are trying to find opportunity or trying to find resources. So they have sort of been reaching back or fulfilling that creed that the My Brother's Keeper program has, which is I lift as I climb. Um,
Yeah,
the,
okay.
the other side of it is that there are still inequities as it relates to climbing up the ladder as far as opportunities. A lot of them are finding that even in this hallowed ground that I live in, that I'm in right now, Tom Jones can apply for a position, upper executive level position. Tom Jones probably doesn't need but a bachelor's, but if he has a master's, that's great. Raekwon here can apply for that same position and is going to need 3 times the education and experience that Tom Jones has, simply because of the fact of the inequity way or inequitable way that hiring is still done across large institutions. And so I think that a lot of students are running into that, particularly in government, but a lot of students are running into that challenge and in the private sector as well. I have a couple of friends who clawed and scraped their way up through private sector and I have gotten to the level that they're at, but their credentials had to be 2 times what another person who didn't look like them would be. And I think still that's unfair, but
Yeah,
that's a challenge.
that's still a very real thing. And as an executive search firm with a focus on diversity, specifically supporting Black and Brown talent, we're constantly waving the flag for diversity, equity, and inclusion. However, I do sometimes feel that so you look at a position description and it is what it is. And we send candidates over according to those guidelines.
Right.
But I do feel sometimes that the measurements, once we get people in front of decision makers, tends to fluctuate, and typically the bar gets raised just a little bit.
Yep.
And it causes some uncertainty among candidates. So that comes into play as they move through an interview cycle. And there's just a lot of complications that are associated with that. And it's something that you can't necessarily put your finger on and prove it to be the case.
Right.
If the feeling's there and you're wondering what's happening, then the chances are it might kind of be working out that way. And I think, we're trying to really work with companies that are committed to workplace diversity and are committed to giving people fair opportunities. And I think, hopefully we'll be able to continue to support people and helping them navigate that thing that you just spoke about. So I appreciate you acknowledging that. All right. So a senior level executives is people in leadership roles, people our age that need to kind of say, I know you're talking about the middle management people giving back, but there are some people out here that are still active. What do we need to do to help not only support some of the younger people coming through, but to support one another as we continue to even move forward in our careers and look for opportunities to expand our reach?
There are a lot of great community programs or CBOs, community-based programs that are doing some great work. And I think one of the things that has changed from when you and I were younger is that we lived at a time when there was a real sense of community. And today I don't feel the same. Even where I live, I just moved to a new neighborhood in February, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. It's okay. It's nice. It's not all the bells and whistles, but there's no sense of community. There's no sense of belonging to something. But even at one point, the church became that CBO that we all went to. I was in the scouting program, and that was held at community centers in the different buildings and churches. that were in the different neighborhoods, and there was a real sense of shared ownership. We kind of had this understanding that this is our community, so we work together to beautify it, make it look good. But that to me doesn't exist anymore. Now and I think it's not no one's fault, but we become so addicted and mesmerized by the virtual world in terms of I can watch television 12 hours a day. I don't have to go outside. I don't have to lift my blinds up. I can order food and have it delivered. Just leave it out there, and I'll open the door when you walk away. It's like this world has become very, very, very screen-ish in terms of how we interact with people. We don't interact with people anymore. We interact with AIs. We interact with bots. We interact with virtual reality, and therefore we have isolated ourselves. So I think that's one of the changes and things that are different from student people who are born 50s, 60s, 70s. Now 80s, 90s, it's less togetherness and more separation, more of the global village, absolutely, but less of the less of the community.
I can appreciate what you're saying. I had this experience recently, and I'll share it. So a close friend of mine. Now, granted, he lives in Pennsylvania. I'm here in New York City. So we don't speak as much as probably we should.
Mm-hmm.
But something was going on in his world that I believe our friendship is strong enough, and it has the duration where I should have known about it, right? And when I reached out to him, he said, "Well, I put it on Facebook." I'm not on Facebook, right? So
Right.
I saw it. And I'm like, listen, we've been friends since high school, maybe before that. You saying I put it on Facebook isn't a good enough answer for me. Like where's the sense of friendship where you're like, hey, let me reach out and make him aware of what's happening? So to your point, I think sometimes we get in these silos where we believe that it's almost like a face-to-face or a more normal interaction, but it's not. Like, nope. I might not see that you like that post.
Right.
Or did you comment it? So it's a different world. All right. So listen, I like to ask people, especially like yourself, I can't wait to hear this answer. What type of books, are there any books or anything any media, anything that you've kind of came across that you said, wow, I think, being exposed to that really helped me kind of get my career goggles on and kind of understand where I wanted to go?
That's a good question.
I didn't mean to just drop that on you, but
no, that's totally fine. I think to be honest, from many years ago, through my sort of just perusing through books that sort of gave me something to gravitate towards. There's a couple, but one I remember is Letters from a Birmingham House Jail by Martin Luther King Jr. For some reason, that his telling the story of behind, well, in it from a prison cell and seeing the world from that view, it just was very artistic to me. In terms of my mind. So just to explain, whenever I see or read something, my mind goes to looking at it as if it were a play or a movie. so reading that, I'm looking at him in my mind, in jail, writing these letters and having such a passion for his family, for the movement, for instruction for his followers, for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And it was, that was probably one of the most powerful. The other would have to be the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Okay. Yes.
As told by Alex Haley. I think his life, because I had a couple of connections to his life on a personal level, but his life to me, absolutely extraordinary, full of transition and also full of growth. It became one from in that autobiography, particularly the way Alex Haley sort of created these picture language of his life, in terms of you may hate him, but you gotta love him. So it just to me, those things were, and then obviously about his life, but those things to me, I think helped me to see what a selfless person is and what a true leader is. So that really is, those are some of my motivations.
Yeah, I can appreciate both of those. That autobiography. It's interesting because it's a dark space, and then it gets
Yeah,
so bright. It's
right.
so bright, but you understand how it happens, right? The
Yeah.
enlightenment, and just like you said, the transitions that take place in
Yep.
one's career, and then you just kind of look back on your own journey, and you say, "Wow,
Yeah.
we all experience that." But sometimes I don't think we realize it and acknowledge it until it's getting close to the end of the day, right? We
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
come back and say, "Oh wow, look where I've came from in the last year, the
And
last."
one exact and one of the things that was critical for me, I shouldn't say critical, but was a powerful ingredient. I happen to know Malcolm's brother,
Okay.
Robert, who worked for the Human Resources Administration, for which my mother was the deputy commissioner.
Amazing.
And one of the things that he mentioned, just personally talking, who was a brilliant guy also by himself, but he said, whenever you look at a picture of Malcolm, you can always tell when it was taken because prior to going his visit to Mecca, he could not grow facial hair. And so it wasn't until after his trip to Mecca when then you see the mustache and the beard coming through. There was a transition and transformation in his life, so much so that it really changed the nature of his being. And I just thought that was a very powerful story.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing in itself.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Mind, body, spirit, right? For
Yep,
sure.
yep,
Uh,
yep, yep.
well, look, as promised, I never want to take up too much of a person's time. But listen, I swear I could have spoken to you for the next 2 hours.
Exactly.
I really think you're that interesting. I really think you're doing work that's that credible, and I can
Thank
just
you.
appreciate who you are creatively as well, just from our conversation. So I want to thank you
Thank
for taking the opportunity to join the Black Box App podcast and the Black Box App family. Tell our people, tell our listeners how they kind of can stay abreast of what's going on with Dr. Jonathan Quash.
Please, you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can also follow our CUNY BMI LinkedIn page that gives all updates, all the things we're doing, all the events, all the people, all the promos. CUNY BMI, CUNY Black Male Initiative Program on LinkedIn or Jonathan Quash. LinkedIn, I'd be happy to keep up with you and share with you all the great things that we're doing this year.
Great things indeed. Thank you for joining the Black Box App podcast. I'm
Thank
Kevin
you.
L. Johnson, Dr. Jonathan Quash. We appreciate you. This episode and all episodes are available on the Black Box app, but also this will air on Frontliners TV. Just stay connected. We are here to amplify the voices of Black men. It's the Black Box App podcast. Kenneth L. Johnson. Thank you.